All right, hello, YouTube family. It's Cab7 over here with me, my brother, and of course me, greenbaywacky.
Hello,
I know I
YouTube.
haven't, yeah. So it's on our hearts. It's on my heart. With all this craziness going on, with all this swatting in our community, and some people floating the term around wellness checks and what's been happening to us. So instead of doing a live stream, I just wanted to make for a record a video so we can kind of go through our story a little bit. I think Cap7 kind of knows what I'm going to talk about, but I want to jump right into this. I want to address this. This is really bothering me right now. The idea is being floated around that in some way a wellness check is no big deal. It's not important. It's trivial, and it's completely different than the swatting. So I'll give you my take on that, and then you can tell me what you think, Ben.
Sure.
Okay, so technically, swatting is when someone makes a prank call, and it's usually horrible. Something horrible has happened at your household. The goal is that the police, the law enforcement, will come to your house, break down the door while you're on a live stream, and they'll see this action happen. You'll be, hands up, that type of thing. And then the idea of this wellness check would be when someone would call up and say, hey, I'm concerned about this person. I think they're harming themselves, that type of thing. So obviously, yes, they're slightly different. But I want to put this, I just want to jump right into it. In my mind, there's absolutely no difference because this is terrorism. This is to terrorize you. A false call. I'm going to say it again. Is there anyone watching this video right now? Anyone out there? Raise your hand if you're that person. Would you want to, every time you do a live stream, have to get a phone call from the police to deal with one or the other, whether you've done something to harm your family or someone calls in falsely to make a claim against you? The ultimate goal is to get a law enforcement agent out to your door, to knock on the door and talk to you. And I'm going to tell you this. I have been swatted for real. The very first time, 5 law enforcement vehicles were in my driveway. Searchlights were on the house. I was told to come out, keep my hands raised. What am I wearing? The searchlight was on me. The deputies were all in position with the doors open. The first person approached me, and depending on what happened with him and me is what was going to depend on what happened with them. And they were all loaded with frickin' ammo and guns. I mean, the one guy had, his whole vest was full of ammo. So I'm just saying, don't let people fool you into thinking it's no big deal to get a wellness check versus a full-blown SWAT. And I've had several instances where they've come out to my house. So what do you say to this, Ben, first of all?
Well, I'm going off by some information that I found about the difference between the two. And swatting is actually a criminal harassment tactic of deceiving an emergency service via such means as hoaxing an emergency service dispatcher into sending a police and emergency service response team to another person's home. Now that's a swatting. And what a wellness check is, which has been done to me several times now, is it's a wellness check or welfare check is an in-person call from local law enforcement to someone whose behavior has become suspicious in some way, usually requested by a friend or family member. The service is available to everyone and is something that cops take seriously. So, um, I've had to actually do that service once for a friend of mine who I was concerned about their health. So I called 911. I said, is there any way they're not answering their phone? They're not answering their door. And they don't have a car, so they can't go nowhere. And they actually did that, provided that service, and found out that a friend had come and picked them up. So that's why, they weren't home. I just hadn't heard from them in a while, and I was concerned. So that's what that service is for. It's for people that have bad health conditions, what have you. You just don't know.
And that is legitimate. That is legit. But
Yeah.
what people don't realize is that the trolls that are doing this maliciously to send law enforcement to our homes, to other people in the community's home. This isn't just about Green Bay Wacky and Cab 7 either. This is about our whole community. This happened to several people.
Oh, well, I've got Dave. Listen, man,
Yeah,
I've got a list. This is just a
that's the short list.
this is just a partial list right here.
And I got
Partial
more
list of people affected in our community.
and I got more emails on the overnight with more people that's happened to that we didn't know about. But mark my words, a wellness check in the form of malicious intent is just as scary, just as emotionally damaging. I'll give you an example. The other night, one of the phone calls from the sheriff during the live stream, I had to put the sheriff, it was a new person in that. Now they had seen that in the computer list, what's been going on with me. So they had an idea that it might have been false, but they still were unsure. And they said, is there anyone else in the household that could verify that you guys are okay? I only had my teenage daughter home. My
Right.
daughter had to get on the phone with the sheriff. How many people watching this video right now would love to hand their cell phone to their teenage daughter and say, hey, this is the sheriff. He wants to talk to you? This affects not only you, the creator, it affects the people in your household emotionally.
That's right. And it also affects the relatives that are not in the household, the friends, because the word gets out. So everyone is affected by it because anyone that would be a relative or a friend, cares about you. So it's not just the victim. Everyone becomes a victim. Everyone.
And not only that, this idea that's being floated around about this wellness check not being a big deal, what you forget is that, give you an example of one of our friends the other day. The wellness check was not just, hey, it's always an electronic voice, by the way. It's always an electronic voice.
Right. That's
Of course.
because the person that's doing the
Yep.
wellness check calling into the police is a coward,
Yeah.
usually.
They don't want to get caught.
Right.
But the call was that there were noises heard, there was screaming, so it's still a form of the swatting. They're not just calling in and saying, hey, this person's old and I don't, it's not like a normal wellness check like you had just mentioned, Cab
Right.
7. It's a form of it's saying something bad that gets the law enforcement to call you and in most cases come out
Making
to
it
your
more
home.
dramatic than what it actually is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, now with me, when I had my first wellness check, it was the first time the law enforcement has ever been to our door. First time ever. I've always obeyed laws. I've never had any run-ins with the law. And it was October 7th of 2019 that it happened. One night I was doing a live stream, as usual, and I heard some loud pounding on my door. Scared the living hell out of me. Pound, 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 pound. And I told the people out in the audience, I said, the police are here. And so I went up, and sure enough, the police were here to check up on me, to do a wellness check, to make sure everything was all right. They asked if I had any guns in the house. Was there anyone else in the house? And I said, no, everything's fine. They followed me into the house because I had to show proof of who I was. They followed me to my bedroom to get my ID card, my driver's license. And the one police officer always had his hand close to his weapon because they didn't know me from Adam, right? And so maybe that's the way they do it. At least they do here in our police department. They're always just ready in case. So I'm nervous the whole time. I remember handing over my driver's license, and my hand was shaking because I'm not used to something like this. It's like, what the hell just happened to me? What is this all about? And I was educated, but that this was a wellness check. Someone was concerned with your health. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know who would do that. So that was my introduction to wellness check, to the law enforcement coming to my house. And let me tell you, you never forget it. You never forget that pounding on the door. Matter of fact, what comes out of it eventually is a PTSD that you never asked for. You never asked for that. So now I'm on heightened alert. I'm always waiting for that pounding on the door of the cops. The cars that are out on the street, they're passing by that stop. And I wonder, who's out there? So what comes out of it is nothing good at all. It is to terrorize you. And it does. It really does terrorize you.
There's only one reason in my mind why these people are floating these scenarios out there. They want to try to trivialize what we're going through as if it's no big deal. And that's why they do it. And that's why they're doing it. And I seriously, it gets my goat. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, Dave, the thing is that this happened to us. And the people that are saying this, more likely, it has never happened to them before. They don't know what they're talking about. So step into my shoes and step into Dave Green Bay Wacky shoes and feel what we felt, what we went through, and what we continue to go through.
Yeah, it's emotionally draining. It goes on every time we're going live now.
But
And it's a
you know what, Dave? The other thing is when a person does that and they make it trivial, it throws a wrench into what we're trying to do.
right.
We're trying to help the community out because a lot of people out there, they could be a victim one day to this swatting or to these wellness checks. It could happen to anyone that's watching this video right now. Keep that in mind. If you go up on someone's panel as a guest, you could be swatted. You have that chance. But if you already know this information, you're still willing to go up on the panel, good for you. Good for you for standing up to it.
Yeah, and we had a friend that we've had friends that have been patted down by the police for a
That's
wellness
right.
check. How would
That's
you like
right.
to be patted down by the police? Does that sound fun? Does that sound like it's not emotionally draining? This is just really bothering me.
It is
Same
truly
thing's gonna happen to the
emotional.
person that gets a wellness check, right? And then they tell their story about what happened, and because of the people that are trying to make it out like it's no big deal, then, they don't get the support, behind them because, "Oh, that was no big deal. That was just a wellness."
Exactly. You're exactly right. And
And
the
it's
other thing
trivialized. It's
these
emotionally
people,
scarring.
the other thing that these people who are saying it's trivial don't take into consideration that pounding on the door, that could give you a heart attack. You never know. You might be that victim that's in bad health. You could have a stroke, a heart attack. But these people are trying to throw a wrench into this so that we're taking serious and they're not. Take that in consideration. Take the people's health in consideration. So that person might be living with depression or anxiety. Can you only imagine what it would do to that victim? So it is a serious thing. I don't care if it's swatting where FBI is at your door pointing guns at you, or if it's a wellness check and you get the pounding at the door. Every police department is going to be just a little bit different than the next. So don't take it trivial. It is a serious thing, and it does affect people. Anyone that I know or Dave has known right now has seriously been affected by it. It does affect you mentally. It's
And that
something you don't forget.
no, it never goes away. It's
No,
permanently ingrained in my being. It creates anxiety, it creates, emotional stress,
that's right.
and, it never goes away. It will never go away, actually, so long as I continue to do what I do,
Right.
as long as you continue to do what you do. That's why I just wanted to address this on video so you could just sit here. Let me explain this to you. Wellness checks, swatting, it's all the same. It's a terrorism is what it is. That's really what it is. It's to terrorize you with a threat, um, to make you, um, be emotionally, off your game, if you want to call it that, whatever you want to say. It's when you hear this floated out in the community, because some people are buying into this. Like, you know what? Those guys are making a big deal out of nothing. These are
Right.
just wellness checks. These aren't swattings. I
And
again,
some people are even going as far as saying, I really wonder if this has happened to them. It may not even be
don't
happening
get
to
me
them.
started on that.
I'm
Don't
serious,
get me
man.
started on that.
I'm
I will.
serious. Because that's starting to change the mind of other people. When someone in the community says, you know what, I'm really wondering if this is really happening. When they're on a panel or they're doing their own live stream, other people tend to, you know what, you might be right. I think I'm going to jump on board with you. And so that's taken away from what we're trying to prevent from happening. You are
We've
throwing
gone
a
as far.
wrench. You're throwing a wrench into what we're trying to prevent.
This is a serious, serious crime. Serious wellness check, swatting. It's all the same.
It's always going to be a uniformed officer with a sidearm. Period. They're
Yeah,
always prepared. That's just the way it is.
that is. And you're always under the gun when you answer that phone call. to have to convince them whether they're going to come out or not. Every law enforcement's different. In some areas, they come out every single time, regardless.
Well, let's not forget what leads up to this. How do you get swatted and how do you get that wellness check? Well, what people are doing, right? What the criminal is doing is they're getting your information off the internet. Somehow they're getting that information. And then once they get that information, they use your phone number, your address, and they will dox you in a social media setting, whether it be a live stream, Discord, whatever. They're going to put that information out there so the whole public can see it. And then for you, Dave, it happened to me in the very beginning. Your phone, since they know your phone number now, they're going to send you horrific messages. I mean, horrific
Oh, yeah.
messages.
Oh,
They can scare the living hell out of you.
I've gotten death threats right in my voicemail. How many people out there would love to have death threats in their voicemail? Please raise your hand. Death threats, I will murder you. I will murder you. I will murder you. I will murder you, over and over. How many people I've had? I think it's over 600 text messages now.
Yeah, you probably have. Yep.
600 vile. I've held them up on the screen.
Sure have.
So it's well beyond just wellness. And you have to remember, these people are sending me text messages and calling me with my own phone numbers. Imagine looking at your phone, watching your own phone number being called to you.
Well, not only that, if you want to see what that's like live, if you go back to my October 7th video, the first time I got that wellness check, first I was getting the phone calls. I got a total of 11 of them. And you can hear them as clear as day. I actually answer a couple of them. And the final one that made this a federal crime is when they said, we're going to send police to your house to shoot you. And that's when it was a game changer. It was no longer just a local crime that became a federal crime.
Yep.
So it's very serious. And when you see text on your phone or when you listen to these messages, you're going to be thinking in the back of your mind, is this actually going to happen? Is this actually going to happen?
Yeah, I'm constantly getting doxxed. People make up channels with my family names. People make up channels with my address. They make the actual channel name my name and address. Right.
Oh, yeah. It's a scary thing to look down in your own chat as a host of your own live stream to see your dead relative's name as one of the channel names, the first and last name. They will do whatever it takes to go ahead and make it as dramatic as they can so they can get a reaction out of you. That is their pure entertainment for them.
Well, to them, it's sort of a 4-step process. Troll your chat with horrible messages, dox you, swat you or wellness check you, and then, text message you, phone.
Not only that,
it's
they could go the 5th step, bot your streams. Make it look like your live stream has 1,000 people in there when it actually only has maybe 60.
Yeah, it's almost like a 5-step process.
Yep.
Now, the good news is we're still here and we're not going anywhere.
That's right.
But this was on my heart today to get this clarified. Wellness check, SWAT, same difference. Emotional, psychological. And you know what? I think you and me are pretty strong people. Imagine some of the people out there that are not capable of being this emotionally strong when they get their first wellness check. You make a very valid point. I talked on my live stream the other night. I had a Twitter message from a channel that was devastated because they got a thumbs down.
Yeah.
A thumbs down. How do you think that channel would feel if they ever got a swatting or a wellness check? My goodness.
Man. They'd probably have to go to a mental institute. I'm serious.
Not everyone is emotionally strong. I'm pretty strong and I still get the jitters.
Yeah.
But the good news is I'm not going anywhere.
But we're putting out this video to protect all of you out there, all of you live streamers. And now listen, it's not just limited to live streamers. It also goes beyond. It goes to the panel guest. It could possibly happen. You could be out in the chat. It could possibly happen to you out in the chat. So keep that in mind when you go to watch people's live streams. There is that remote possibility that it can happen. But more than likely, what's going to happen is the host or hostess or the panel guests. That's where it's going to be located right there.
Yeah.
And all for the sole purpose of the criminal getting some sort of form of of entertainment.
That's what it is. And they ultimately they want to destroy your channel by creating so much fear that they hope that when you go live you'll have zero in the chat because no one will be there to support you. But the
Right.
opposite is happening. We are thank you community for all the support, the outpouring, the people that keep coming. Thank you. Big thank you. And I just wanted to get this off my heart because this idea that wellness checks versus swatting is no big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Anytime that the law enforcement is being drawn into your life, whether it's through a phone call, a knock on the door, or both, it's a big, big deal.
And keep this in mind, it is not prejudice to skin color, sexuality. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you're a big channel with a couple million or if you're a small channel with 15. It doesn't it doesn't matter.
I've had
So please keep that in mind, all right? It could affect anyone.
I've had 11 phone calls now, and several of those were actual visits from the law enforcement to my
Right.
actual premises. 11 phone calls now at this point. It's a big deal.
And I could scroll through my phone. I've got 13 phone calls already from law enforcement since May 7th. 13. But you know what? I was able to go to my local law
October. You mean
enforcement.
October 7th?
October 7th, yep.
Sorry, you said May.
Oh, okay, sorry. October 7th. The thing is, they came to my house 6 times. So I've already met the whole law enforcement in our community because it's just a small one. It's a small agency. Uh, and I said, you know what? Let's just work together here instead of driving the 2 miles to come to my house and waste all that gas and resource. How about if you just make a phone call to my house and just ask if I'm okay? And I'll let you know that I'm doing a live stream, and yes, I'm fine. And you know what? After that sixth, after that sixth incident where they were the last time they came to my house, that's what they've been doing ever since. Matter of fact, it's actually kind of pleasant to talk to them. The last 2 times that they've called in, I've actually had a normal conversation with the dispatcher, and that's also on video if you want to see that. Just a few days ago, just January, I think 4th or 5th. If you want to go back to that video and see what happened
You
during
did.
an actual 911 call.
But even with that, even though it was on that particular call pleasant, do you enjoy
Right.
getting calls from your local law enforcement?
Right.
Do
Exactly.
you enjoy that? Is that fun?
Yeah. Right. It's an inconvenience. It is not fun, but keep in mind, not all dispatchers are going to be kind like ours is in our community. Okay.
That's
Some of
right.
them could be quite frustrated or aggravated. You just never know.
Another thing, um, I want to just float this idea out there.
Sure.
To me, it's just shocking. People blocking the victim,
Right.
blocking the victim. You're the victim. We're the victim. I'm the victim. You're the victim. The whole community that this happened to is the victim. And the idea that channel would they block you. I don't want you in my live stream. You're the victim, but I don't want you here because you might bring trouble with you.
It's like you're a disease or something.
Yeah.
You're going to get it.
We're now a disease. We're a disease. We're victimized. And we're now, that's like talking
And
about
this
being,
is happening with our in our group of friends,
talking about being kicked to the curb.
I mean, you're already been kicked to the curb, but then you go to a friend and you get kicked while you're down.
Yeah.
This is important, folks, that we wanted to bring this video to all of you out there because are well experienced in this now. I mean, between the both of us, it has been 24 times between the both of us.
11 on me, 13 on you.
Yeah. So
24
I
times.
think we're
Not to
pretty
mention our
well.
friends that are getting swatted or
Exactly.
wellness checks on the panel now
Exactly.
to drive them
So
off the panel.
we know what we're talking about, and all we're simply doing is putting out this video to help you out there. Okay, that's the only reason why we're doing this. We don't want any of you to get hurt, injured. Um, uh, we, no one deserves it. No one deserves it. So I hope that you take our advice. And let me say, last but not least, and I have nothing else to say.
Nope, I'm almost done too.
Okay, as a YouTube live streamer, take this advice. Go to your local law enforcement. Let them know that you do live streams. on YouTube, okay? That you do live streams in front of people. Let them know all your information, your name, your address, where you live, and say simply, if you get a call that there is an emergency at my home, all right, it's called a swatting or a wellness check. Please, this is something that's been happening in our community, and it happens often. So let them know that ahead of time, because when they do get called and they come riding to your house at 200 miles per hour, they're going to bring up your history. Oh, wait a second. This guy came in or this gal came in and they let us we're aware of this already. So, and that does help. It doesn't help 100%. Each
No,
law enforcement agency is different, but it does help you out.
that's the thing. Every law enforcement agency is different.
Yeah.
Every one is different.
Yeah.
And one last thing I wanted to touch on, we did actually do a community fundraiser for a reward.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
There is a
That's right.
reward out there,
Yeah.
somewhere in the area of $2,400 at this point,
2,400 right now.
for information that leads to the arrest and the conviction of this particular person or persons.
That's right.
Um, and I hate to touch on this, but I have to, Ben.
Okay.
We've been part of this community for years,
Oh, yeah.
years.
Yep.
And the idea has been floated around that reward money is not actually even there. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that to me is just shocking.
Yeah, I've been accused of taking the money and spending other places and giving it as donations to other people. And this is going to be a part of it, right? It's a mob mentality. When one person says something that's out of the ordinary, that's negative, other people are going to hear that. They're going to jump on board and they're going to start, believing in that. So trust me, the money's there. All right. You don't need to worry about that. And for those people that might have a problem with this that have already donated to that reward money, if you want your money back, you have every right to get it back. Just let me know. Send me an email at artistben7@yahoo.com. Tell me what your real name is, and I will go back into my PayPal, find it, and you will get your PayPal donation back 100%.
Absolutely. And I just want to kind of close out with this. Remember this. It's very hard to erase yourself out on the internet. I know everyone is just like, oh, just use a different name, make yourself private. But people forget things. Most people that came to YouTube had a life before YouTube. They had a business. They were on Facebook. They were on LinkedIn. They were on Twitter. They were on Instagram. They were MySpace even. There's always little bits of information that people have left out there in the internet. And I know there's services out there that claim they can erase all your information. But believe me,
Right.
it's very, very hard to erase yourself from the internet.
Yeah.
It is. It's very, very, very hard. And there's only so many precautions you can take. So
Yeah.
I would encourage people not to let these people get to you, in the sense that if your passion is to do what you do, it makes it harder to do it. Makes it harder for me to want to make people laugh and entertain them and lift them up and do all that stuff, just like you, Ben. But because of that love, I'm not going to let these people get me down. I mean,
Good.
not make me stop doing what I'm doing. But
I
you do
did
have
want
to
to
do
mention.
some self-evaluation. If it's too much for you, if it's too much for your family and you have to throw in the towel, I understand. And I would not in any way, shape, or form make fun of you for doing that, or I completely understand. I
You know,
absolutely do.
I said that I was done, but I do have to mention this.
Yeah.
If you have any information at all, if you've got some video footage, if you've got some screenshot footage, okay, make sure that there's a date in it. Make sure that if you're capturing a live stream that's happening and you see a comment in the chat, make sure that you get the full screen effect. We need dates, we need the name of the channel that it happened at, and we need to see what is happening out in the chat. So take screenshots of that, send them our way, Green Bay Wacky or Cab 7, and we'll add that information to all the intelligence that we've already gotten. So please, if you're on board with us and you want this to end here in our community, please be a part of it. Stand up with us. Don't be afraid. All right. Every bit of information is accepted here. We'll go through it. If it does affect us, Green Bay Wacky Me, we'll add it to what we've already got. If it does not affect us, we're going to let you know that, hey, that doesn't affect what we're going through.
Right. Absolutely. And tell me in the comments if you made it through this entire video, if you
Yeah.
made it to this very end, because I want to close with this too. And that's why, tell me I made it through the end of this entire video. I made it to the end because I'll bet this is 25 minutes. And we
Yeah.
normally don't make them that long.
Right.
But I want to close with this. This might sound like this is just about me, Green Bay Wacky and Cab 7, but it's not. There's many of people that have been affected in the community.
Yep.
But I do have to say this. It's when something's obvious, it's obvious. A lot of the hate, the majority of it, has been directed at me and Cab 7.
Yeah.
And it's so apparently obvious. It's me and Cab over and over, guests of ours over and over, friends of ours over and over. So we can't help but notice that a lot of this hate is directed at the two of us.
Right.
But I
That's
want to
exactly
remind
right.
people, it's not about it's about the whole community. We've had, look at that list that Cab 7 brought up. That's a
right.
short list that we developed on a live stream the other night. That's a short list of how many people have had a swatting or a wellness check from one live stream. And some of the names on that list has been more than once. So
And this list gets bigger every day.
every day.
Every day, man.
But this idea of wellness check versus swatting, like it's no big deal, has got to stop. It's a big deal no matter what it is. I have nothing else to say on this matter, really, Cab.
Good to go.
I think we might even make a video on your channel as well. Maybe
I would like to do that, yes.
We'll each have a video up. Again, type in the chat if you made it to the end. Just say, I made it to the end. I heard everything you said. And I wish much love to everyone out there. Be safe. Take whatever steps you can. But again, you can only do so much to erase yourself from the internet.
There will be a link in the description down below of my channel that will direct you to just watch the video over at
Absolutely. We both have email addresses on our channels. We're very, very easy to get information to. But, I just as I close, remember, we're getting a lot of information from people say, oh, I think it's this person because I think what we need is real evidence, screenshots, video, audio, things that can go to the authorities that can be used in a court of law. You have to understand, it's got to be something that's able to be used. And remember this, when you send us information, there was a miscommunication here. It's anonymous. If you send me a screenshot, I don't send your name to the authorities. I'm sending them the screenshot. So you're not going to get dragged into this by sending it. Don't be afraid to send those screenshots because you're worried that you're going to get dragged into this by name. You're not. It's going to be anonymous. It's going to be anonymous. So that's all I got right now.
That's it, man. That's it.
That's it. All right, we're done. Love to the community. We love this community, and that's why we come back day after day, night after night. Thank you. Thank you for all the support.